So Lions football is officially back. Although it is preseason though, football is still back nonetheless. But of course, like I've always said for preseason games, I don't take them really too seriously. It's more just player evaluation. Because I'll just say this real quick here. If you take preseason games seriously and preseason wins and losses seriously, then the chance that I think there is a chance, a very slim chance that you might be a fucking moron if you take a preseason game too seriously. But by the way, I got a question here. Didn't the Lions go 4-0 in preseason before, and how did that season end for them? Yeah, get back to me on that one if you think preseason games matter. Always say, tell that to the 2008 Lions. They'll tell you otherwise. But of course, even though this game, honestly, this preseason game was just a typical preseason game, especially in wet weather. Like, honestly, that's just a normal rain football game for you, just a defensive struggle overall as a whole. So, gonna be really hard to grade a lot of the offense when, it's really hard to get anything going offensively in the rain. But anyway, we'll look at some positives and some negatives from this game and discuss it real quick. So, of course, starting off, though, we're going to start off with the positives, though. Of course, Jacob Sailors, he was an absolute baller tonight against Cincinnati. Had some great runs, rocking the ball in the run game, and was leading the Lions in receiving, too, which is pretty crazy. And, of course, the rookie QB, Rook Altmaier, who's battling with Dobby the Elf. I know some people call Joshua Dobbs the Pastronaut, but I call him Dobby the Elf. Meme QB. Dobbs is definitely a top meme QB of our generation. As, of course, Altmaier and Dobbs are both battling for the backup QB position after Teddy Bridgewater retired again. I would say probably for good this time, but we all thought about that before. And then he comes back from the dead every single time. So I'll believe Teddy Bridgewater is done this time when I fucking see it with my own eyes. Probably wouldn't have. But in terms of Luke Altmaier, even though Dobbs did play alright, Luke Altmaier got the bigger load, of course, and this being his first NFL start of any kind. I mean, for Altmaier, he did pretty good for a first game. Wasn't really too flashy, wasn't too horrible at the same time. He did what he could in the rain conditions. Although I think the receivers sold him out a lot throughout the game, too. But, Altmaier did pretty okay for a first start. Like, it wasn't horrible. I mean, I've seen worse QB performances in preseason. Like, Altmaier did pretty serviceable nonetheless. Blake Miller, the first-round pick for the Lions, he played absolutely well. Like, in terms of the O-line, he was easily the best O-lineman that played tonight against Cincinnati. Definitely living up to the bill on why the Lions took him in the first round at pick 17, and why he's starting in week 1. So good to see Blake Miller officially win that starting job and showing why he could have the other blindside spot locked up for years to come. I'm wondering if Penei Sewell has been teaching him some things at training camp, and if Sewell has been, then whatever Sewell's teaching Blake Miller's working. Like, definitely something's being done right there. Either that or Hank Fraley's a really good O-line coach. Take your pick on that one. Although we all know Fraley is good too, but maybe if Sewell's teaching Miller a thing or two, we should give Sewell his flowers as well. Nick Whiteside also played really good, had some pretty good plays, shutting guys down on Cincinnati. Pretty good to see there. Even Keith Abney made some plays, even got a fumble recovery. That was good to see there with Keith Abney, as Keith could be battling for a starting spot on the secondary. Especially since a lot of secondary starting to go down like flies, and after Terrion Arnold decided to be a fucking jackass in the offseason. And also, before we continue on, though, I've seen a lot of people overreact about Terrion Arnold expecting to sign with the Seahawks, which I'm honestly surprised the team is taking a chance on him already, especially considering his legal issues right now, and he could be facing suspension and possible jail time. But I'll just say this, for everyone overreacting, all I say is, honestly, I don't give a fuck that he's going to sit to Seattle. Like, I'll just say this, I'm not going to shed a tear over some stupid fucking jackass that can't stay clean with the Lions. All I say is, Seattle, he's your problem now. Don't say one pride tried to warn you about him when he ends up being a disaster in Seattle. So, Seahawks fans that watch my videos, don't say I didn't warn you about Terry Arnold. He's your problem now. But all I say is, honestly, good riddance. You can rot up there. I honestly don't care about Terry Arnold anymore. I'm not going to shed a fucking tear over him. Like, it's old news. Like, coulda, woulda, shoulda. It's in the past. Only direction to move now is forward to the future. And of course, continuing on moving forward, we're going to look at the other last two positives I have on the checklist. Which, by the way, for preseason, the checklist is just the good old list of Jericho. Yeah, I gotta fix this up and tape this off and make it say list of C-Rad. Even though I'm gonna have to add an of on this too because the of got fucking peeled off. Because I've had this damn clipboard for about 10 years. I got it at a WWE house show in like 2016, by the way. Like 2016, 2017 when Trish Jericho was at its peak. But anyway, back on topic to the football. Ahmed Hassanin was easily the player of the game for the Lions. Absolute baller. Got a couple sacks. Even making some big plays on some of the starters that Cincinnati played, including Joe Burrow. Which, by the way, the Lions didn't really play any starters in this game. It was mainly 2s, 3s, and 4s. Like, the only starters that played were, like, Miller and anybody that's fighting for a starting job in training camp and preseason. I mean, Blake Miller's understandable because, you know, he's a rookie. He needs the snaps and experience before the regular season begins. But good to see Ahmed Hassanin balling out, especially after last season when his season was cut short in preseason and never really got a chance to prove himself last year. Good to see him making the most of it. You know, he's had a really good camp so far. Good to see that reflecting on the field now in a game situation. And the last positive from what I like from the players, has been Shelby Gill-Howard. He was making some plays and getting some pressures in the backfield. Good to see some of the rookies from this draft class make some impacts. You know, mainly Miller, Abney, and Shelby Gill-Howard. Even Luke Altmaier as an undrafted rookie. So good to see some of the rookies making some plays. In terms of the negatives from this game, the first real negative is the entire interior O-line played like shit. They struggled a lot. Especially more Seth McLaughlin. He played like absolute shit at center, which is not good since McLaughlin's battling for a starting job for the starting center spot for the first few weeks between him and Juice Scruggs for it. With Cade Mays out till about week 6. Like, Cade Mays is probably going to be out till close to mid-season with that wrist injury, which that is a big deal for center because you kind of need that to snap the ball with accuracy well, or you're going to get a lot of fumbles or overhead snaps or underhand snaps, and we can't have that. But yeah, and also Frazier and Mahogany also both struggled too, and I believe those two are going to be in the competition for that other starting guard spot to replace Graham Glasgow. With Glasgow gone now. And we already know Tate Ratledge got the other starting guard spot there. Like really 3 of the starting 5 for the O-line's already set with Sewell, Ratledge, and Blake Miller, and of course, the center will be Cade Mays once Mays is healthy and ready to go again. But really, the only last question was the other guard spot, which for Frazier and Mahogany, both didn't really have a good showing with both of them bound for that spot. You know, good news is it's week 1 of preseason, still plenty of time to get some snaps in. Also, Isaac Tesla struggled a lot too. You know, definitely, I think he got a lot in his head overall throughout this game, which is not good. But, you know, seems like a lot of those reports about him struggling throughout training camp have been true. And now it's reflecting on the field, so not a really good showing. Like, Tesla still has a lot to show for sure. I mean, he only had 16 catches last year, but he mainly got a lot of hype because almost half of those catches were fucking touchdowns. But yeah, Tesla still definitely got a lot to work on for sure. You know, I think he's going to bounce back. But, You know, if he continues to struggle like he's been, you know, there's a chance he could lose that wide receiver 3 spot. And, of course, the last real negative was, of course, Enos Rakestraw. As, once again, Rakestraw got injured again. The extent of the injury is unknown. It's like, Jesus Christ. Like, it's easily becoming very apparent that the fucking Lions 2024 draft class is the worst class of the Brad Holmes era. Like, at this point, I think we can safely say that. Because, Jesus Christ. Because Enos Rakestraw was brought in as the plan B option in case Arnold didn't pan out. And Rakestraw has struggled just as bad. Like, jeez Louise. Like, it's not really just play. It's just the fact that he can't stay healthy. Honestly, I don't think it's the coaching or the training staff at all in this situation when it comes to the injuries right now. Like, honestly, I think it's the players. Like, I don't think they're taking care of themselves that well. Like, you can only do so much before you finally gotta say maybe it's the players not taking care of their bodies on or off the field that well. That's leading to the amount of the Lions having so much injury problems. Which has only been the last 2 years. In terms of the last 5 years, in terms of injuries, Lions are like middle of the road in the NFL. Like, it's mainly just been the last 2 years that they've been decimated by it. But yeah, outside of that, you know, a really solid showing. Although the Lions did have a chance to possibly win the game late, even stopping Cincinnati and forcing a 3-and-out after the failed onside kick failed to get done until Altmaier threw the game-stealing interception for Cincinnati to call game. You know, it was a really solid showing for week 1 of preseason. You know, just a typical preseason game. But hey, you know, good to see football back. Good luck to Dashy and the rest of the season. But yeah, just, you know, at least football's back. But keep in mind, it's only week 1 of preseason. In terms of the play calling from Drew Petzing, I mean, of course the play calling is going to be vanilla because it's preseason. Like, play calling is always going to be in vanilla in preseason. Like, honestly, all preseason is for the offensive, defensive coordinators and the head coaches. It's just tested tune-up sessions for the regular season. It's just them trying some shit out for the regular season to see what could possibly work and what won't work and what needs to be improved. But you know, there's definitely a lot to improve for sure. But you know, football's back on the next week. Now I gotta wrap this up because I gotta pack up and get ready to go to Markham this weekend. See ya anyway. See y'all later, and I gotta go. Bye. And go Lions.